So I'd like to welcome you very much for this side event on, we call it Strategies of National Civil Society Platforms on Influencing the Global Compact. We had last year a first side event on national platforms because we thought that in the process of the GFMD, we have the global process and we have local reality, and we thought by starting a discussion on national strategies, national debates, we can add value to the discussions and share experiences on what on a national level can be done. I'd like to introduce you the panelists, but before I do that, I'd like to I'm very honored to welcome here François Crépeau, the rapporteur on human rights and the United Nations, and he will help us to frame what civil societies on national level, what are the challenges, what has been his observation during these 2 days, to help us to situate a bit in the context where national platforms can act. I hand over to you, François.
Immediately? Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. Like you, I have followed the past days and the preparation of this GFMD in the weeks before. Having also followed the GFMD for the past 6 years during my mandate, I found this GFMD particularly interesting. All participants, whether government, civil society, business community, had one goal, and it was influence the global compact. And that gave us all a common purpose. Somehow, we were on the same page, even if our opinions differed. And I think that over the past 6 years, we have developed a shared or common vocabulary, even when we disagree. I think that when we talk about firewalls today, everyone understands, and we can hear delegations, state delegations say that they disagree with the firewall principle. But we know that they're talking about the same principle, and that is, to me, something very interesting. It was a very focused GFMD, and we shall see whether the result was worth the effort with the negotiation of the Global Compact. As I said yesterday, we must not keep our expectations too high. This is only the beginning of a generational effort to free human mobility from the shackles of territorial sovereignty while regulating it and protecting the rights of all concerned. What I see in the cards for now, and don't believe me, each of you has have your own evaluation, and your crystal ball is as good as mine. So I see certainly some form of declaration and some kind of plan of action. I think states have been talking about adopting a plan of action, and that seems to be in the cards. I don't see legal binding documents across the board, but there is the possibility that states or groups of states will commit to a number of objectives. I see that happening. And so for some elements, I don't think the Global Compact will be able to tackle the structural migration and mobility issues. So there will be no structural response to structural issues, such as undocumented migration or temporary labor migration, the exploitation of temporary migrant workers. This will require a generational change of mindset, and it'll take 1 or 2 decades. But some good practices will be highlighted. Some pathways will be also indicated, and we will continue to work on them. And in specific situations, some issues might actually be tackled in only a few years. States are looking for practical responses to their immediate problems as they define them themselves. So it's their problems that we're going to tackle, not our problems. It's their problems. That's what the Global Compact is for. And it will be, even though it was said in the concluding remarks this afternoon that it will not be a collection of good practices, I expect the Global Compact to be let's say, a structured collection of good practices, at least inspirational ideas and good practices. And that is not a bad result if we lower our expectations and we try to think strategically. States will not engage on any proposal that will risk creating electoral tensions in their domestic political stage, on their domestic political stage. There will probably be no specific indicators, benchmarks, timelines, and certainly no accountability mechanism that will be created. And if we define accountability mechanism, there could be, they could announce another conference in 2 or 3 years, maybe a high-level dialogue. We'll see what happens, but no specific accountability mechanism. There will be, I think, because this has been mentioned by many delegations, regional implementation with an enhanced role for the regional consultative processes, which are pretty discreet on what they do. And there will be enhanced global monitoring role for IOM, and that will be a soft monitoring mechanism, but IOM will provide, probably, regular updates on what is happening in the implementation of the Global Compact. And that is quite interesting in itself. So, civil society must prepare for the follow-up to the Global Compact, because the Global Compact will need to be internalized. Once something has been said at a global level, it has to be brought to the national level and subnational level, and then it has to be implemented. And there, civil society will be key to that in every single country. Civil society will have to bring pressure on governments to deliver on the suggestions, commitments, whatever is there in the Global Compact. And in particular, when good practices have been identified elsewhere, governments will have to be reminded that they need to adapt them and implement them in their own jurisdiction. And we've heard quite a number of very good practices happening here and there. So, what do I see? Civil society will need to choose key asks and priorities from governments among the multiple possibilities. And that will depend on each country. Each country has a different migration and mobility landscape. And so the major migration and mobility issues facing the country will have to be responded to by different solutions in every country. And we'll have to bring from the Global Compact what is essential for this or that country. Civil society will need to build alliances. That will be, strategically key with regions, with cities, with international organizations, with unions, with the business community, but also with institutions and civil society of other countries where necessary. Certainly, for example, on the European stage, there will need to be an alliance of civil society organizations in order to respond to what is done in Brussels at EU level. And certainly these alliances will have to work together, but it will be very important to bring that down to the ground level. Civil society will need to get into the Global Compact and be inspired by the Global Compact to get outside the Global Compact the concrete example of what works. Good practices, examples from the field, preferably shown to be working in different regions of the world at the same time. And there I've just put together an indicative list. It has no pretension of being exhaustive at all. Integration strategies by local civil society organizations, but also simply by citizens. I'm thinking of private sponsorship of refugees, for example, in Canada by groups of citizens. Language courses, private sponsorship I mentioned. Support for homework of kids. This is done very often by collectives of mothers. Well, it can be supported. It can be organized. Things can be done collectively. Support for homework by parents is much more effective if you have a daycare for the brothers and sisters. That's something that can be organized, and that's something that can be organized with a department of social affairs or with school organizations, etc. Specific responses to labor needs in outlying regions or in industries with shortages of labor. In my country, for example, Manitoba is quite well known to have attracted migrants to northern Manitoba, which is a pretty desolate place. That's where my father comes from. And it's a pretty desolate place, but migrants have gone there because there were jobs and because there were communities who were welcoming them. And so how to create that welcoming response. Smart practices of cities, and I think it's been mentioned by everyone, and it's been running for a number of years. Cities are very smart actors in that field, in the field of integration, in the field of social integration for everyone. It's not simply for migrants, it's for the youth, it's for the poor, it's for the persons with disabilities, it's for all the groups and communities who have or have been marginalized in our societies, and that includes many categories of migrants. And cities have been very good at trying to attract migrants, at using migration to revitalize certain parts of the district. I mean, Detroit in the United States is, one of the brightest examples of that. Working with businesses who have labor needs and who have created apprenticeship programs. And I'm thinking about what's been happening in this country. I mean, the apprenticeship program in this country has been a way to integrate migrant youth in the past years at an extraordinary rate. And that provides language course at the same time, because you are in a working environment in German. And I think that is something that civil society will have to support and recognize and multiply. And another example, funding strategies for the creation of new businesses by entrepreneurial migrants, trying to work with banks, trying to work on microloans, trying to work on microloans to women, which has been working in many other countries and could work in countries welcoming immigration. So civil society will need to prepare for the national, but also the regional and the local implementation, through already discussing with states various formats for implementation, plans of action with objectives, targets, indicators. We may not get that at global level, but I think it's important that civil societies work on their own targets, indicators, benchmarks, timelines, and accountability mechanisms, preferably in collaboration with government, preferably in collaboration with the business community, with unions, so that we have a common framework. Sharing implementation plans and strategies between stakeholders and across countries and regions will also allow to further refine responses to migration mobility challenges and propose more sophisticated tools and strategies for the future. The idea, which has been voiced, of a national compact in response to the global compact, creating a national compact, which would be tailored to the needs of the country, but would also be shaped by a well-structured thematic consultation process similar to the one that we're presently in for the Global Compact inside each country, seems to me a very productive way of bringing all stakeholders on board on a common agenda. And I think that is something that civil societies in many countries will have to think about, how to bring on board the business community, how to bring on board the unions into a process. Not necessarily agreeing on everything, but into a process, a shared process. And finally, the effectiveness of this implementation strategy will also help for the next stage. And the next stage is how to prepare for the next round of a global effort to respond to migration and mobility structural challenges, because this Global Compact is only going to be the stepping stone of a generational change in our mindset about mobility. We'll have to go much further to respond to undocumented migration, to have much freer mobility, to rid states of their securitization strategies. I mean, this is going to take probably a generation, 20 years. And we'll have, through the implementation of this Global Compact, we'll have to also think about the next step. What will we do in 5 years from now when there is another conference, or 7 years from now when there is another conference? And I think civil society will be, should be harvesting the lessons from the implementation of the Global Compact in order to make concrete proposals at the next stage of the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Professor François Crépeau is the UN Special Rapporteur on human rights of migrants, and that, I mean, it's closing your mandate in a month's time, right? So that is a long list of expectations towards towards civil society and how they can contribute and how they should contribute and engage. So we have a series of representatives of national platforms. To my left side, we have Mamadou Dignane, how do I say that? Abdoulaye. Okay. Abdoulaye, okay. And we have Saiful is not here, but you have you, Abdel Fattah, how do I say that properly, right, from the Réseau Marocain Transnational Migration et Développement. We have Douglas Juarez from the Red Regional de Organización Civiles para las Migraciones. We have Pascal Fandry from the Swiss Civil Society Platform Migration Development. And we have also Ellen McGregor. She is representing the Maastricht University. And she brings in a set of tools which have been explored within MAID and towards the front. She just have recently published the report Movement, which you might have seen. So we're very happy to have you on board. Thank you very much for being with us here on this panel. So what works, right? So I think the first question is looking back. So you have engaged on a national or through your civil society networks in influencing the Global Compact. What has been achieved? What is working? What elements are interesting to follow up, to share with the audience and among ourselves to get a step further? So I give you a small, maybe a 5-minute each of you, just to give key elements of introduction from your platform on how you have influenced, or have you tried to influence, or can influence the process of the Global Compact. Maybe I start with you. You'd like to?
Merci beaucoup, Peter. Je voulais également remercier votre organisation pour cette initiative assez heureuse. Saluer l'assistance et aussi mes co-débatteurs. Moi, je crois qu'il faudra aussi revenir un peu sur le contexte dans lequel aujourd'hui on parle même du Global Compact. Je crois que nous sommes dans un contexte où le GFMD a 10 ans. Nous sommes dans un contexte également où la communauté internationale aujourd'hui a mis au cœur de son agenda la problématique de la migration. Mais également nous sommes dans un contexte où aujourd'hui deux éléments fondent un peu notre espoir, c'est-à-dire l'agenda 2003, mais également récemment l'accord de Paris intervenu en 2015. Je crois qu'au-delà, si nous considérons l'ensemble de ces éléments, déjà nous pouvons considérer que la société civile, nationale, internationale, régionale, a joué un rôle extrêmement important dans, disons, l'élaboration et même la définition des politiques au niveau national comme international. Je crois que rappeler le contexte historique me semble important parce qu'aujourd'hui, ce n'est pas pour rien que le GFF a 10 ans. C'est 10 ans d'engagement, c'est 10 ans de lobbying, c'est 10 ans aussi de mobilisation citoyenne qui ont permis aujourd'hui d'influer en tout cas les stratégies adoptées par la communauté internationale. Je crois que donc, et cela, même si c'est au niveau international, je crois que aussi c'est au niveau national que des initiatives ont été prises. Je vous avais rappelé la fois dernière, lors de notre première rencontre du 28, qu'au Sénégal, déjà nous, au niveau du Sénégal, nous avons ce qu'on appelait le REMIDEV, Réseau Migration et Développement, qui depuis sa naissance, en tout cas en 2013, et qui d'ailleurs rassemble l'ensemble des organisations intervenant dans la migration, a joué un rôle éminemment positif pour amener même le gouvernement à prendre à bras le corps la mise en place d'une politique migratoire au niveau national. Je crois que donc, les stratégies que nous devons adopter en tant que société civile, en tant que plateforme, se résument en tout cas à 2 niveaux, à mon sens. Le premier niveau d'intervention, c'est que aussi, nous sommes dans un contexte où il y a des contrastes. Autant aujourd'hui, la communauté internationale s'est engagée, s'est mobilisée dans le cadre de l'agenda 2030, dans le cadre du Global Compact, autant nous constatons aujourd'hui qu'au niveau de l'Europe, au niveau en tout cas européen, les politiques qui sont en train d'être menées dans le domaine de l'immigration, en tout cas contrastent avec en tout cas les ambitions et les enjeux contenus dans le Compact. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, au niveau européen, comme nous tous nous le savons, nous sommes dans un contexte où l'extrémisme et le populisme ont contribué aujourd'hui à influer les politiques migratoires mises en place au niveau de l'Europe. Je crois que donc, ce contraste-là, il va falloir que la société civile nos plateformes en tiennent compte. Autant nous avons l'ambition d'aller vers la mise en place d'un global compact, mais autant aussi aujourd'hui il faut reconsidérer un peu les politiques qui sont mises en œuvre au niveau de l'Europe, en direction en tout cas dans le domaine de la migration. Je crois donc que ce niveau-là, à mon sens, est à prendre en considération. C'est pourquoi donc nous, en tant que proposition de stratégie que nous devons formuler, je crois que la première formulation de stratégie, c'est au niveau de la structuration de nos plateformes. Il nous faut des plateformes suffisamment fortes, mais également, comme je l'avais dit l'autre jour, au-delà même des plateformes nationales, il nous faut déjà inventer des mécanismes pour essayer au niveau régional d'agréger les interventions des différentes plateformes, avoir des plateformes régionales assez fortes et qui convergent vers la mise en place d'une plateforme internationale qui prendrait en compte les préoccupations de la société civile dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre, disons, de l'élaboration du Global Compact, mais également, éventuellement, de sa mise en œuvre. L'autre enjeu, à mon sens, c'est le networking. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, ce n'est pas pour rien qu'aujourd'hui la communauté nationale, ce n'est pas des décrétés de cœur que la communauté internationale a mis en place ce Global Compact. Il a fallu des pressions de la société civile, il a fallu une mobilisation sans faille de la société civile, il a fallu un engagement de nos différentes organisations pour en tout cas essayer de changer l'ordre des choses. À mon sens, je crois que cette pression-là, il nous faut la maintenir. En tant que société civile, nationale, internationale, nous devons maintenir cette pression vis-à-vis de nos États au niveau national, mais également vis-à-vis de la communauté nationale, notamment les Nations Unies, pour que, en tout cas, dans toutes les sphères de décision, que nous puissions faire entendre la voix de la société civile. Je crois que ça me paraît assez une stratégie pour pouvoir influer sur les politiques. Mais également, il nous faut aussi, dans le cadre, disons, de notre action, renforcer les capacités des acteurs de nos différentes plateformes. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, le capacity building de nos organisations, de nos plateformes au niveau national comme international, me paraît essentiel parce que ça nous permettra non seulement de partager les savoirs, les expériences, mais aussi ça nous permettra d'être suffisamment forts pour pouvoir en tout cas peser de tous nos poids, en tout cas dans la définition des politiques et aussi dans la mise en œuvre des campagnes. Mais également, il nous faut en tant que plateforme nationale, internationale, également, éventuellement, renforcer les capacités des citoyens. Parce qu'il ne s'agit pas aujourd'hui d'avoir une dualité entre la communauté internationale et la société civile internationale. Je crois que ce qui est important aujourd'hui, c'est que nous, en tant qu'organisation de la société civile, nous puissions capaciter également au niveau, quelle que soit l'échelle d'intervention locale, nationale, régionale, les citoyens qui sont quand même aujourd'hui les principales victimes, en tout cas, des méfaits, en tout cas des politiques migratoires mises en place jusqu'ici. L'autre élément qui me semble important en tant que, dans le cadre de la première partie, c'est qu'il nous faut mettre en place un système de monitoring, d'évaluation et de suivi, en tout cas à tous les niveaux, disons, de la mise en œuvre du Global Compact. Parce que, vous savez, hein, l'expérience a montré qu'il y a des engagements au niveau international qui ont été pris, mais qui n'ont pas fait l'objet de... Je m'en veux par exemple pour la Convention des Nations Unies de 1990, le droit des travailleurs et de leur famille. Cette convention qui a été signée en produite en 1990 n'a pas fait l'objet d'une ratification d'aucun pays de l'Union européenne, jusqu'à ce jour où je vous parle. Donc il nous faut être vigilants aussi dans la stratégie. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, l'ambition c'est d'aller vers un global compact, mais je crois que la société civile, nos différentes plateformes, doivent faire l'objet de vigilance. Parce que autant la communauté internationale prendra des engagements, mais c'est au niveau du suivi et de la mise en œuvre que le problème se posera. Donc je crois que pour mieux influencer, il nous faudra aussi être vigilant. Je m'en veux, je l'ai appelé tantôt, la Convention de 1999 qui n'a pas fait l'objet d'une ratification des pays. Et jusqu'ici, les droits des travailleurs de leurs migrants, des travailleurs migrants et de leurs familles n'ont pas été respectés. Parce que si aujourd'hui, d'ailleurs, nous sommes là à parler de Global Compact, c'est que quelque part, il y a échec. Disons dans la mise en œuvre de la Convention de 1990. Donc je crois que la vigilance doit être de rigueur. Peut-être là où je voudrais terminer, monsieur le modérateur, c'est au niveau même, disons, de la cohérence des politiques. Je crois que nous, en tant que plateforme, en tant qu'organisation de la société civile, nous devons veiller à ce qu'il y ait une cohérence d'ensemble au niveau décisionnel, disons, de l'échelle locale à l'échelle internationale. Et aujourd'hui, je crois qu'il y a une donne qui nous paraît importante, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, nous sommes dans un monde où nous assistons à une décentralisation qui est en tout cas effective dans presque l'ensemble des pays de la planète. Et aujourd'hui, nous assistons également à une territorialisation des politiques publiques, dont la migration. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, donc, il va falloir que nous, en tant que plateforme, en tant qu'organisation civile, nous puissions en tout cas travailler de concert avec les collectivités, les autorités locales, les collectivités territoriales, les collectivités locales, pour en tout cas une meilleure implication des élus dans la mise en œuvre du Global Compact. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. Merci. I think we shift language, so it's a bit easier of translation. Maybe Douglas, Spanish, no English. Is it okay? Let's try.
So I speak in English? Okay.
English,
I will do all my effort. Well, I am better reading, so I have some points here writing. So, well, I'm here representing Latin America. I am from the regional network of civil society that has a representation from Canada to Dominican Republic. But also I'm here with we are trying to conform a block, a Latin American block, to prepare and to came here to the Global Forum. And we think that this is something that we are going to continue doing after the Global Forum, to conform a global, a regional block of Latin American organization. And it's a little difficult, you know, because there is some kind of, there is some difference between the countries. For example, there are some countries that we don't have the interest of the governments to talk about the Global Forum, and that's a reality. Also, we have some countries that the spaces of the dialogue spaces that are closing to the civil society organizations. And that is a good example. For example, I don't know if you heard about the conference that took place in Miami that was about security and prosperity. And it was the Inter-American Development Bank, the private sector, and also another key actors from the Guatemala, Mexico, El Salvador, United States governments. And we make advocacy for weeks, you know, to open the space to the civil society organizations, but there were no representation of the organizations because they were talking about security and prosperity. And to talk about prosperity is to talk about development. And we talk about development, we have to talk about the push factors of forced migration in the region. And we are talking about the large-scale projects. We're talking about the human rights violations. So when we have to talk about, or we want to talk about these topics, the governments are closing the doors, you know. So I think that I have like, this is one of the points, that this is the absence of interest and commitment of many states. We have, before the forum, we have a lack of information in our countries about how it's going to take place, the process, and also the information, it's only in the cities, in the big organizations, and this information we have the responsibility to take to our countries and to give feedback to all the community-based organizations. But we came here with a lack of information, and also with few capacities to participate in the multiple instance of discussion by some platforms of civil society and states. We have difficulty for the preparation of the organizations, and also we see that there is, this process is leading by the biggest organizations of each country and in the region. So we think that these spaces and international community has to promote that all the most affected by the forced migration should have a real participation in these spaces, you know, because the thing is that they have the knowledge, they have the experience, and they have direct work that the topics that they are talking about in the Global Compact. So we are trying to organize at regional level, and we are trying to conform this Latin American bloc, but we think that we need the organizations and the public and the private sector have to invest in civil society platforms, have to invest in workshops, because we know that they are saying that we have we have the information and we need to provide this information to the states and to monitoring all the implementation of the Global Compact. But we think that the civil society organizations have to be in all the process, just not recollecting data, just not making alternative reports, but also trying to make this kind of link between the community base, within the with the migrants association, the refugees, the citizens, and with the government. So we think that we have to working to define to have collective efforts to resolve positively the transformation of conflicts. Also, I know that the Global Compact does not try to resolve the structural problems, but we think that we need to address the root causes of foreign migration. And this is to talk about the human rights violations that are taking place in our countries. Also, we think that it's necessary to have a cooperative and inclusive diplomacy, and also to the cooperation and development assistance, have to support the civil society and community-based organizations in a responsible way, because we think that the cooperation and development assistance, sometimes they make some harm, they make some damage to the organizations. So I think that this is we have a shared problems and we have to seek shared solutions, but with the participation of the community and the community-based organizations. Let me see. Yeah, as a regional network, we have participation in the regional conference on migration, and also in the South America, they have the South America Migration Conference. So these two spaces, we're trying to talk about the Global Compact. We are trying to talk about with the governments, because that is the spaces that we have at the Central and North America and in the South America. So we're trying to talk about the Global Compact in these spaces. As the regional network, 2 weeks ago, we have the activity that is going to prepare the regional conference that is going to take place in November. And we said that we have to, we make a call to the UNHCR and the International Organization on Migration to support and to try to push the governments to open the spaces, dialogue spaces, to talk with the civil society organization and to take seriously this process, you know, because as I said before, we have a lot of countries that this public sector does not have the spaces to the civil society, and even if they have the spaces, these spaces are not, they are not linked to the process of design the public policies, you know. So we are in some spaces that we are talking to public sector, but that's not, this is not, this has no link to the design of the public policies. So I will leave right here. I don't know if there's enough.
We give these small inputs.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
And then we'll see where is the interest. So we ask the audience where they want to lead it to. Please. Thank you very much, Douglas.
Merci. Merci de m'avoir invité en tant que représentant de la société civile marocaine à ce débat-là. D'ailleurs, avec nos amis suisses, même la représentation diplomatique suisse au Maroc, on a déjà des débats sur ces questions-là. Et pour bien ou essayer un peu de répondre et d'aller en même temps d'aller dans le même sens et autour des idées qu'a exposé M. Crépeau, je vais essayer de donner quelques jalons en ce qui concerne le Maroc et la plateforme. D'abord, le Maroc se trouve dans une place où il y a 3 dimensions. Il y a la dimension africaine, la dimension européenne, la dimension arabe. Il faut savoir que la migration d'abord marocaine n'a pas été seulement une migration de travail, parce que c'était aussi des exilés politiques qui ont joué un rôle très intéressant à organiser la société, à organiser la migration. Et d'ailleurs, même dans le cadre de ce qu'on appelle aujourd'hui la transition politique au Maroc, la migration et les migrants ont joué un rôle très intéressant. Il n'y a pas, aujourd'hui, il y a pas mal de ministres ou de responsables qui sont issus de la migration et qui ont été exilés pour une longue période, surtout en Europe. C'est pour ça que la société civile marocaine s'est développée dans le cadre de cette lutte pour les droits et pour l'amélioration de la situation des familles. Et aussi, la migration a joué un rôle très intéressant pour réussir le plan d'ajustement structurel à l'époque. Et dans ce cadre-là, il y avait le processus de Barcelone. Je ne sais pas si parmi vous vous rappelez un peu de la plateforme non gouvernementale Euromed, où la société marocaine, la société civile, a joué un rôle très intéressant. Et ces membres, ils ont essayé de recadrer la société civile marocaine. Et aussi, on avait beaucoup de problèmes, non seulement dans le débat avec les Européens, mais surtout avec nos amis arabes, dans le cadre de la politique de voisinage. Jusqu'à aujourd'hui, nous avons un grand problème en tant que société civile, en tant que plateforme, travaillant sur les questions de migration, parce qu'avec nos amis asiatiques, malheureusement, on ne s'entend pas très bien. Ils croient qu'eux, ils sont exploités, les seuls qui sont exploités dans les pays du Golfe. C'est la même chose pour les Marocains. C'est le système du kafil qui est là et qui s'applique pour tout le monde. Les domestiques, les femmes philippines qui travaillent dans les pays du Golfe, les Marocains subissent le même sort. Il n'y a pas de différence, il n'y a rien. C'est les mêmes. Donc c'est dans ce cadre-là que la société civile, d'un côté, elle est bien vue, ou plus ou moins le travail qu'il fait est capitalisé par le gouvernement marocain dans le travail avec l'Europe. Mais de l'autre côté, on a beaucoup de problèmes. Et jusqu'à aujourd'hui, on n'a pas pu, par exemple, si vous parlez de l'organisation de la société civile, par exemple en Amérique latine, la région la plus déstructurée et où il n'y a pas une grande présence de la société civile, c'est la région arabe en général. Ça, c'est la première chose. Au niveau maghrébin, et surtout de l'Afrique du Nord, on est déstructuré. On n'arrive pas à travailler. Pourquoi? Parce que la société civile marocaine jouait son rôle, mais le problème, c'est qu'on n'a pas de feedback avec les autres sociétés civiles des autres pays. Ça, c'est la première chose. Et donc, dans ce mouvement-là, le GFMD est venu, et nous, on était préparés parce que le fer de lance dans cette société civile, c'était les Marocains résidents à l'étranger. Aujourd'hui, on ne parle pas de Marocains résidents à l'étranger. On parle de Marocains du monde. Parce qu'on le dit toujours, on dit que la manière de s'exprimer, la qualité des concepts définit la qualité du savoir. Et du coup, par exemple, on ne parle pas de Marocains résidents à l'étranger, on parle beaucoup plus de Marocains du monde. On ne parle pas de migrants clandestins, irréguliers et même sans papier, on parle de migrants en conflit avec la loi. On ne parle pas aux Marocains dans la société civile, on est en train de développer notre dictionnaire. On ne parle pas de subsahariens, parce qu'on veut couper l'Afrique du Nord de l'Afrique tout entière. On parle d'Africains étrangers, parce qu'ils sont étrangers par rapport au Maroc. Et dans ce cadre-là, dans notre lutte, et surtout dans le cadre de la transition politique, où la société et l'État s'est ouvert voulant changer le système, nous avons, en tant que société civile, qui était bien encadrée, et surtout à ce moment-là, quand le GFMD a démarré, on a créé le réseau marocain transnational migration-développement. Il faut noter une chose. On dit, et on a poussé notre gouvernement à organiser avec l'OIM un travail sur ça, c'est-à-dire que le migrant a le droit dans la ville. Et si vous pianotez sur Internet, il y a la stratégie nationale de l'immigration et de l'asile, sur lesquels on dit que c'est déjà un pas. C'est la première fois où le gouvernement marocain a une stratégie. Et cette stratégie, elle a été faite, disons, dans un débat avec la société civile. On était présents. C'est vrai qu'on n'était pas présents de la manière que nous voulons, mais au moins, on était là et on a suivi et on a travaillé. Et certaines de nos idées sont là. On veut qu'on fasse mieux, c'est perfectible. C'est déjà un pas et on est en train d'apprendre. Mais ça ne nous suffit pas. C'est pour ça que, par exemple, à l'occasion, il y a le Made d'Afrique, où il y a le Made, et on a bataillé dans le cadre du GFM pour qu'il soit là. Une fois que nos amis de Caritas ont pris, à Dakar, ont pris l'initiative de nous inviter pour y participer, aujourd'hui, on veut que ça soit, on veut faire entendre la voix africaine, parce qu'on dit que la force se fait à travers l'union, il ne se fait pas. Et d'ailleurs, même l'un des affluents de notre activité de la société civile, c'est notre présence aussi et nos contacts avec nos amis brésiliens, surtout dans le Forum social mondial, où on est présent, où on a poussé en tant que plateforme, disons, de migration, on est présent dans le Forum social maghrébin. Malheureusement, jusqu'à aujourd'hui, le Forum social arabe n'a pas vu le jour parce qu'on veut l'entrée, c'est la garantie des droits. Donc, en ce qui concerne les discussions, je donne un exemple sur la première et la deuxième régularisation, où on a défendu à ce que les migrants qui vont être régularisés doivent être représentés dans les comités d'assainissement des dossiers, pour que ça soit plus transparent. C'est vrai que ça a été fait dans certains cas, dans d'autres ça n'a pas été fait, mais dans cette deuxième régularisation qui est en train de se faire, et c'est la première fois qu'un pays du Sud fait des régularisations. Nous, on est en train de discuter avec notre gouvernement dans le cadre de cette régularisation, comme il a ratifié la Convention internationale des droits des travailleurs migrants et de leurs familles, il faut que cette deuxième régularisation essaye d'être plus avancée et qu'il respecte les clauses de cette convention. Parce que nous demandons, nous devons honorer nos engagements, d'un côté, que l'État honore ses engagements, mais dans une responsabilité. Et c'est pour ça aujourd'hui, je termine avec cette idée-là, que dans cette plateforme du réseau marocain transnational migration développement, on a développé une autre plateforme qui est une plateforme euro-marocaine. Pourquoi? Parce que, comme je l'ai dit, on veut capitaliser notre patrimoine de ressources humaines partagées entre le Maroc et l'Europe. Et on veut, si c'est possible, de l'élargir, par exemple, dans le cadre du processus de Rabat, dans la conférence euro-africaine, que ça soit fait de la même manière pour l'Afrique. Et je pense que c'est une occasion, et je dis à nos amis de la plateforme suisse, avec le travail qu'on est en train de faire avec la représentation diplomatique à Rabat, on aimerait bien réfléchir et organiser un travail sur ça. Et on est ouvert, si jamais vous voulez, qu'on se réunisse à Rabat ou chez vous pour discuter comment faire, comment jonctionner ou jeter des ponts entre les plateformes, parce que c'est ça ce qui fait la force de la société civile. Pourquoi cette force? C'est parce que pour nous, je vous le dis sincèrement, que le GFMD, on a travaillé, mais on n'était pas valorisé de la même manière. On veut que si jamais on passe au Global Compact, il faut qu'il y ait des mécanismes. Moi, je ne discute pas contraignant ou non contraignant, mais au moins qu'il y a une place de la société civile effective, mais non seulement consultative. Effective dans le sens où il a le droit de regard, le suivi, le monitoring, l'évaluation et demander les comptes. Et au moins, si on ne peut pas le faire au niveau national, on peut les ramener au niveau international, on peut les ramener au niveau national. Et c'est dans ce sens qu'on est en train de travailler. Merci. Et je suis là pour des questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Abdel Fattah. So we have one more example of a national platform and the efforts to contribute to the Global Compact. Please, Pascal. Oh, you have a microphone. Pascal, you're speaking English, right?
Yes, I think so. Thanks, Peter. Well, I mean, there were already only 3 panelists, but what a wealth of experiences, practices, initiatives, and so on. I mean, that links already to the wealth François Crépeau was referring to in wealth of experiences he was referring to in his introduction. A few words, so I'll try now to bring a bit the perspective of the Swiss civil society platform on migration and development, some of our experiences, and also some ideas or proposals for influence on the Global Compact consultations and beyond. A few words about who we are. We are a relatively recent initiative, mdplatform.ch. We were established in July 2015, so we are baby of 2 years, a 2-year-old baby. We now count more than 80 members within this platform, quite a diverse set of members, development NGOs, academia, migrants, diaspora organizations of very different sizes and sometimes very little civil society organizations with different needs, different experiences. Once again, a wealth of experiences, but also a common concern to work on migration and development. So the purpose of the platform is to exchange, exchange on practices, learn together, deepen our knowledge on migration and development, and also to come with a more structured participation in policy dialogue at national and international level. This initiative is currently being financed by the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. A quick look in the past, in our experience. You asked about successes when it comes to national civil society platforms' action on policy dialogue. So last year, actually, for the first time, we participated as a platform in a GFMD and in the civil society days of the GFMD. There were prior participation of Swiss civil society organizations in the past, but that was the first time we participated as a coordinated delegation within the GFMD. And within this framework, we already used the opportunity to organize a side event, this time, I mean, on a topic that is linked to the discussions of today, on the question of the role of national civil society platforms on migration policy dialogue. This has allowed a first exchange in a similar setup and with familiar faces here in this room on our experiences on how to discuss on migration policy within the national context. And this, one of the critical points that came out of the discussion was the understanding of our role as a sort of two-way link when it comes to policy dialogue. One rather intuitive role of national civil society platforms would be to facilitate discussions, inform members, and coordinate priorities or be able to formulate a number of common messages to be expressed at the national and international level. That's what I call the intuitive mission or role of a national civil society platform. And the other way down is obviously a key role also in bringing back the key messages from the international level, from the international dialogue, from the GFMD, for instance, back into the national/local context. Bringing back messages to what I could call the constituency, so to what I would call the membership of the platforms, but also following up on these messages at the national level and in discussions with state actors at the central level and also to a certain degree at the local level. So these, what I called two-way or two-direction bridge, also certainly influences the way we see our contribution or participation in the Global Compact consultations and once again beyond. On the Global Compact on migration, so far, within the Swiss civil society, and this is once again a novelty or a new step for us, a first step we took by the beginning of this year, end of last year, was to start consultations. We really used the platform as to facilitate discussions, disseminating information on what this process is all about and what are the key steps of the process and the possible outcomes. And using these consultations to express a number of key messages towards the government and a set of expectations of the members of the Swiss Civil Society Platform on Migration and Development about the outcome of this Global Compact. Those recommendations were compiled in what we call the policy brief, which was sent to the Swiss government in particular. That policy brief, by the way, is available but on the tables of the Palace Hotel and also on our website mdplatform.ch. So that was the first step. And that was a very interesting step because we saw, and we were amazed to see how much substance there was in the discussions and how much there was to be proposed. Obviously, then there was an important effort of reaching a consensus on what would be those key messages, and we had then the opportunity to discuss with the Swiss government on the Global Compact process, on their expectations, on their priorities, and to present our policy brief. That happened by the end of May this year. What was also interesting in that aspect is that we had a discussion not only with SDC, which is a traditional partner, discussion partner of the Swiss Civil Society Platform on Migration and Development, but also with other departments of the Swiss Federal Administration, including the Department of Justice and the states, through the State Secretariat on Migration. So that dialogue on the Global Compact, this consultation on the Global Compact and on our respective priorities was a success, which meant we directly asked for a follow-up, and this success already, I would say, importantly influences once again our expectations or the way we see the modalities of implementation of the Global Compact at national level. And in this sense, we believe within the platform that the multi-stakeholders or spirit or approach that has characterized now the Global Compact consultation shall be kept as a framing principle for the implementation and for the implementation at the national level. François Crépeau, the other panelists have referred to the multitude, the diversity of actors that have a role, have a say on migration and development at national level. May that be the usual suspects. I mean, a global compact made by the states for the states, perhaps yes, but other actors behind, civil society in its whole diversity. I mean, we can argue on how we define civil society, but what I mean is certainly the academia, certainly the private sector, also a vertical vision of multi-stakeholders participation. It's not only about the central government, but the role of cities was once again emphasized in private interventions. So that spirit of bringing around the table and in the discussions the actors that matter, not only because of their opinion or because they feel the consequences of policies, but also because they have a direct influence on these policies or on practices in the ground. So as part of these reflections within the Swiss civil society came this idea of a national compact on migration and development, a sort of national framework for dialogue, for policy coherence on migration and development. The labeling may certainly evolve, the substance is not yet defined, but we wanted to launch, to use the opportunity of this side event, to launch a bit this idea in the air. We see the national compact, and I stop with 3 characteristics of the way we currently define the concept of a national compact within mdplatform.ch. What would a national compact contribute to? In our view, it would certainly comprise a multi-stakeholder, a continuation of this multi-stakeholder approach or spirit at the national level. So a sort of framework for dialogue on migration and development at the national level, bringing together the actors that matter around the table. Such a dialogue would certainly then help doing this translation of a global compact into national priorities, into national context. And we heard a lot about the different realities of our different countries and the practices that have emerged, good or bad practices that we know and can identify. So a way to localize, to nationalize the action plan of the Global Compact. And a last component that would come within this national compact on migration development, within this national framework, is already a modality to follow up on the implementation, already a modality to assess how, to assess progress on the implementation of the Global Compact. Here, the importance to be also consistent with what has already been done, may that be at the policy level or in the tools that were already developed in the past. Here, the articulation shall be clearly within the frame of the SDGs and in particular 10.7, facilitate safe, orderly and regular migration, which is at the basis of the Global Compact. There are already framework for discussions on the implementation of the SDGs, on the implementation of the migration-related goals of the SDGs, probably a bit less, and that would be linked to the process of the National Global Compact. There are certainly already a lot of tools available to monitor migration-related aspects within national and international context. So those would be the three main characteristics of what we could call a national compact. As mentioned, the substance is yet to be defined, but we want to bring this idea as a possible modality right now into the discussion, of the Global Compact, as a way to ensure the multi-stakeholder approach is preserved and that we can tie in, or that we can anchor the role of the civil society within the implementation of the Global Compact itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal, from the MD platform. So we have a round, and Elaine, she will provide some tools, right, in the monitoring of potential national compacts or civil society processes. Her experiences is on the 5.8 action plan, which is a joint tool of the civil society days here, and you worked on that. So what do you recommend if we go into that? Then I open the floor to gather a bit more experiences and examples from where you're successful and what you think we should follow up on this. Right, please, Elaine.
Okay. Thank you very much, Peter. So I think my role in this panel is twofold. I think first I'm here for gender balance.
Thank you. You count 5 times. You count 5 times.
So does this mean I can speak for 25 minutes? Okay. No, but in all seriousness, my name is Elaine McGregor. I'm a researcher from Maastricht University. I am here because I've written this report that you've seen at the tables. This report is called Movement, and basically the story of this report is 2 years ago I was in a hotel room in Kathmandu and I saw an advertisement from ICMC for somebody to assess progress on civil society's 5-year 8-point action plan. And I thought, at the time I was working with Nomad, developing a dashboard of indicators to measure policy coherence for migration and development. And I already in this process had felt a lack of civil society voice. So I saw this as a really good opportunity to actually understand what civil society was saying in this whole discussion. So I scrambled together an application, and I was lucky enough to be offered an interview. And I wrote the first report. And I think the biggest lesson in the first report was be careful what you recommend. Because in the first report, I recommended that actually it's very hard to measure progress on civil society's 5-year 8-point plan of action because there's no clear benchmarks. There's no clear indication of what progress is. So to measure progress, you need to define progress. And this is what they asked me to do in the second report, which was very challenging. So what I did was in the application forms for the Civil Society Day in Bangladesh, there were some questions that I added to the application form. I read all 600 responses, so all 600 applicants, not only those that came. And it was such a refreshing experience because I think we have such a negative discourse in the media, especially in Europe, on migration. And I read so many examples of stories and practices and progress from around the world that were actually positive. And it got me to thinking, okay, so when you look at the examples that happen at the national level, that's where change happens, right? At the local level, at the national level. And when you want to define progress and you want to, it's going to fall. Yeah, it's movement. When you want to define progress, you want to see, okay, well, where can we make change in our local context and in our countries? So for each of the points of the 5-year 8-point action plan, I developed a scorecard, and this scorecard is a draft. And the reason it's a draft is because it needs your input. And what I propose in the report is that there's a national focal point that is appointed from maybe a national network, which I think is the reason why I'm here. Or if there's no such platform in your country, that maybe one should be established, and that person takes responsibility for starting to coordinate, to have these discussions, to define what is progress. And the 5-year 8-point plan of action ends at the time when we can expect to see the Global Compact. So maybe what the 5-year 8-point plan of action actually is a litmus test of whether civil society has made progress and has seen the issues that have been brought into the 5-year 8-point plan of action manifested in this Global Compact. But more than that, and this is the long term that we've heard talked about in the last few days, maybe we can use these scorecards to actually define and develop indicators, benchmarks, and a new multi-year action plan for the way forward. I don't want to say much more than that. In the report there's many stories, it's not exhaustive. If you want to send me more stories, I'm always happy to read them. Or you can talk to me, because I think these are the stories that we need to tell. And yeah, that's me.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I'd like to open the floor to you. I think you have maybe contributions, sharings of success stories in your engagement in entering into the Global Compact, which are of use for the others. So you'd like to share, or whether you have questions to the panelists. Please keep yourself short, maybe one question at a time, maybe one experience at a time, right? Thank you very much. Who can we, yes? So the mic is going around. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Emeka Obiazu from Nigeria Civil Society Migration Network. I think mdplatform is 2-year-old. We are not the youngest. CSO platform in Nigeria is just still about to know whether it's born or yet. So we're just about a year old. Now, what attracted me to this side event is the concept of strategies for civil society influencing the Global Compact on the national policy levels. So, and that is actually what I was wanting to hear. What are the bullet point strategies that we could go back home with and try? And I mean, the experiences, the narratives from the experiences are very helpful to see what people have done already in terms of how you have influenced or how you have participated. But I think this is very strategic in the way going forward. And I like the idea of national compact, which you are still going to fashion out. But I would rather say, in terms of suggestion on what could be the strategies that civil society on the national network could be considering, I think one of the key challenges we have as civil society is organizing ourselves. And this is where national platforms will be very helpful. There is a difference between a national platform, which is consistent and systematic, and a coming together of groups that has no point of reference. So to be able to engage constructively with systems, we ourselves will also have a form of system. And this is where I think a real platform that if governments want to talk with civil society, they know where to go. If they're looking for information on what civil societies are doing, they know what to look at. So I think that should be the first step civil society network on level, national level will look at. And then when we have done that, we should also strategize on different ways of relating with government. You know, what have we done before that did not work? What are we doing that worked? I think in going to influence the compact, we need to develop a mechanism of talking with government instead of talking to government, so that we all come with a common share, let them know that it is a common interest that both of us drive towards. And in that context, we'll be making similar contributions to that. Of course, I like Elaine's suggestion of tools we could use as civil society to guide our own participation, but also as something we might want to offer to government to consider. Because when we get into conversation, oftentimes the next question after the narrative is, and so what? What are you suggesting? So if we have a mechanism of articulating suggestions, which the tools will offer us, we could also say to government, you might want to look at this. So I think I will keep it at this. Thank you.
I'm Ellen from the Center for Migrant Advocacy from the Philippines. So maybe just to share, I don't know if it's like we're making headway already on the Global Compact because it's something very new, but just to share that in the context of the Philippines, first off, civil society and people's organizations are included or enshrined in our Constitution of 1987. And this is replicated in the Magna Carta for migrant workers. So we have this official legal basis to really insist ourselves in working hand in hand with government. Secondly, we have a national tripartite platform. So this is not just for civil society, but officially we have this platform like as the workers have under the ILO framework, where we have civil society and trade unions representing the migrant workers, and then the different agencies of government, executive agencies of government, and then foreign employers represented by the recruitment agencies. So it's called the tripartite consultative council on labor migration. So we have one for sea-based and we have one for land-based. And the idea is before government will enact policies, it will have to go through this consultative council. So we look at this platform as one that can easily facilitate discussions and consultations on the Global Compact. And we started to do that, to talk to government on that. The problem, though, in a way, is that the Secretariat of the tripartite is with the Labor Department. It's called the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration. And until now, under the new government, because we have a new government, they don't have a new administrator yet. And so we have not met since the new government assumed office. So that's one thing that we have to watch out for. But in the past, how we work, we would create working groups on issues. For example, the issue on domestic workers, we have a working group on that. On the ratification of ILO Convention 181, we formed a working group on that. On the issue of mega recruitment agencies in the Middle East, we formed a working group on that. So hopefully, this should be something that will not be so difficult to convene. But as I said, we have to wait and see how it will materialize. Aside from that national platform, which covers a whole broad of issues on labor migration, we actually have one that is focused on migration and development. And in the past, 2015 and 2016, this is called the Social Development Cluster. This is mainly interagency of government, but they included civil society as well, where the focus in the last 2 years was to come up with indicators on the SDGs and how this relates to migrant workers. And as like an outcome of that, several provisions of our Philippine Development Plan for 2017 to 2022 would reflect issues on how these SDGs would contribute to development of the migrant sector and how their rights will be promoted. So those are like the platforms. It's already there, but we have to wait and see how we can utilize it for the purposes of the Global Compact. The latest development is, apart from the tripartite, which we draw from the main tripartite of the ILO model, we are going to be mainstream, in fact, in this official tripartite of government, local or national workers groups, and the local employers in the Philippines. So they created additional slot for representation of the migrant sector. So that's the latest in the Philippines. Thank you.
This is Somaya from Bangladesh. Now I'm sharing this one experience. When we were coming to this, joining this GFMD, our Rohima from Bangladesh, she is a migrant worker. We are going to talk about the Global Compact on Migration and National Policy. And Rohima was saying, hi Somaya, is it include our problem? So what is the problem? Then Rohima is saying, why they are talking about our migration, why you are not talking about the migration Bangladesh to Gulf country. It is in Manikganj, and they are saying from our country, my husband, my relative, my sister-in-law, everybody is going to Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, and Kuwait. And is it mentioning that things? What's the problem we are facing in the Gulf country? And what's about the employer? This is never code that employer of Saudi Arabia, they never bothers any law, any UN treaty, even Global Compact on Migration. It's a non-binding issues, what I have heard yesterday meeting. So how it will help the migrant worker, even when that different policies coming in, like still is kafala system, there is a subcontract system, what is making an undocumented worker huge, not only man, even a woman. They are running away, they are in torture, they are in jail, they are in hospital, and they are in trafficking in person. So how it will help all the migrant workers. This is a human being. So Rohima likes to know how it will help global compact on migration. This is my experience. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Maitreyi Gupta. I represent Global Alliance Against Traffic in Women International Secretariat, located in Bangkok. I had a short question, not as much as a recommendation. So two members on the panel spoke about the need for a national global compact, saying that it will localize our international commitments. And it's very highly appreciated. However, civil society concern is that the global compact, as we've been hearing since yesterday, and it's a concern shared by many civil society organizations, is that it may not even reflect the basic minimum standards that have been agreed to by various countries in various international human rights instruments. Given that concern, there is a sort of a strong notion that it may actually be a step backward instead of being a step forward. So when we are saying that it will be a generational shift, it sounds fabulous, but is that actually what we are expecting? Because on the one hand, we are also saying that we are looking at solutions to the country's problems, not to the migrants' problems. So I find there to be a bit of disparity in what we are talking about and what may actually happen, which is discomforting. This is highly reflected in the process that is being undertaken through the whole global compact, through the whole GFMD process. I mean, honestly, migrants are not really included. The national consultations, the regional consultations are separated from the global consultations. There is no clear way in which what is adhered to or what is agreed to in the regional or the national consultations will actually be incorporated in the global consultations. So are these concerns, and what are we thinking about it?
I am coming from India, and my question is to the friends who are from the global trade unions. I see that the trade unions, we were looking upon the trade unions having one of the platforms wherein government would initiate a process of national consultation, wherein today in the whole context we are looking at that trade unions are even losing its grounds because of the policies of the government of removing, even trade unions are not being registered in the whole context. How do we ensure that trade unions participate in the whole process? Because government in its decision making often call on central trade unions in a country like India, where there are state and central trade unions. And how will the central or the global trade unions hold responsible to their counterparts in other countries to have these responses from these countries to ensure that they also have a similar processes? When it comes to migration, there is very little participation, very little, in a way, support, very little commitment to the cause of migration and to the migrants' concerns. So how do we ensure the global unions or international bodies ensuring that these processes take place at the grassroots level, and there is really a building up of these?
I'm Ruchira Gunasekara from Lawyers Beyond Borders Sri Lanka chapter. I want to ask put this question to the panel, because when we speak of migration policies, at least in my opinion, we have to be mindful of requirements of two categories. So in my opinion, it's the requirements of the migrant workers of the Asian region and the European sector. Because for Asian sector, there are issues ranging from contract substitution, exploitation, and enforcement. But for Europeans, it is asylum seekers, voluntary return program, and reintegration, etc. So you as influencers for formulating policies, as you have specified here, how are you hoping to give a common answer to formulate these policies, because in my opinion you can never satisfy these two requirements, because I have seen in the forums already we have attended. I see, because we attend, go for the meetings thinking that, oh, we have solutions for the migrant workers' rights in Asia. But to see what we found is something else. So I'm sure when formulating policies also, you will have this common problem. So I'm hoping you can give us a...
I'm Nilambar from Nepal. I just want to share the experience of Nepal. We have National Network for Safe Migration. That's an umbrella organization of 19 organizations working for the migration causes. And what we have found is we interact, as the topic is strategies. So what we did with our government is we did not call them for the formal meetings or do. We went there informally. We talked one-to-one and try to influence on all the subjects. And it is doing good because the government people representing even now in the GFMD, they spoke what we had asked them to. So that is what we achieved, we can say. And now it was interesting to hear that you proposed the national compact on migration. So this national compact, if we come up with a different thing, then it might not fit with the global, it will not reflect exactly what we are coming at the national level. So if we can deduce, instead of taking from the national to the global, if we can come up with the global and come back to the national, then I think it is more workable. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Shakirul and I'm from Bangladesh. So yes, I want to share some experience of Bangladesh Civil Society Committee, and we are several members of the Civil Society, Bangladesh Civil Society here in this room. And you know, the Bangladesh Civil Society Committee came up just before the GFMD in Dhaka, so it's around 2 years old, so it's still a baby, and we came up only on the to talk, to discuss, and to facilitate the process of the GFMD 2016 actually. So after the GFMD, what we have done is like we want to continue this committee for facilitating the process of on migration and development. So we have turned the name Bangladesh Civil Society Committee on Migration and Development and Human Rights. So yes, right now what we are doing is like to make this committee more formal and accountable with more structure. So we have already completed two meetings, and we have formulated a draft resolution to follow, so that we can work together more structurally, so that we can push the government to bring down the global compact into national context, because it is very important. And you know, the Bangladesh government is pro-migration, and they have some kind of initiatives already to facilitate the global compact process. But again, you know, the government is always talking at different levels, but the reality is the migrants are facing difficulties in every day, and there are no such structure, no such system to facilitate the migration in a safe and orderly way. So it's really important to have a national platform in every country, and I would appreciate Swiss platform to come up and to come up with this kind of facilitation of the national platform, because without national platform, it will be very difficult to implement. And if I give reference to the discussions, today's discussion in the common space, everybody was talking about implementation, because it was said that yes, we are talking about, we are claiming more, but we are underperforming. So this is the reality, that we have different kinds of conventions, UN conventions, ILO conventions, and different treaties, and we are talking about a new compact. But what about the implementation? So if we really want to make implemented the Global Compact, the importance of national platform is important. And I will also recommend that this kind of discussions need to be continued, because yes, the national context is different, but again, we need to have some kind of link with different national platforms in different countries, so that we can exchange our experiences, best practices for...
Je m'appelle Ousmane Diarra, je viens du Mali et je suis membre d'une association qu'on appelle Association malienne des expulsés, dans l'autre langue, Organisation pour les déportés. Alors je suis aussi membre d'un réseau africain qui s'appelle MED-Afrique. Alors quand même, nous sommes venus un peu en retard, on n'a pas écouté les intervenants, mais j'ai quand même un peu compris. Il s'agit de Global Compact, il s'agit des expériences. Alors nous, on a eu à faire beaucoup d'expériences au niveau africain quand même, et au niveau de la région de la CEDEAO, c'est-à-dire au niveau ouest africain, ECOWAS. Vous savez, aujourd'hui, la migration est devenue comme un problème qu'on n'a pas trouvé une solution. Alors, c'est à travers de ce rencontre qu'on pourrait quand même échanger. J'ai écouté les Népalais, les Bangladais. Je vois qu'il y a des dynamiques mondiales qui sont en cours dans toutes les zones, dans toutes les régions, dans tout le monde. Alors, moi, je voulais seulement faire une petite proposition. Comme le MED-Afrique, ça couvre toute l'Afrique et on a une grande dynamique. Auparavant, on a travaillé sur les droits des migrants. Aujourd'hui, on parle migration et développement. Donc, il y a tant de choses qui arrivent. Et au cours du forum, c'était qu'on a parlé un pacte mondial sur la migration et les réfugiés. Alors moi, j'ai une petite proposition. Comme on n'a pas beaucoup d'informations sur ce qui se passe de l'autre côté du monde, comme Bangladesh, comme Pakistan, comme Népal, est-ce que ce n'est pas un bon moment ici de fédérer toutes ces plateformes pour créer une plateforme mondiale qui travaille pour le développement ou la défense des droits des migrants? C'est une proposition parce qu'en Afrique, il y en a déjà, mais d'Afrique. Peut-être il y en a aussi en Europe. On a vu les dynamiques de la société civile européenne. Mais dans l'autre côté, qu'on n'a pas encore découvert, il sera mieux de connaître leur engagement, essayer de voir ensemble pour être une seule personne, pour avoir la voix qui peut supporter au moins les migrants, parce que nous sommes des victimes. Des victimes parce que les pays du Nord, très souvent, qui causent la migration comme un problème. Donc si la migration est rentable, la migration est bénéfique, la migration en tant que telle même est le développement de la personne. Donc la migration est forcément liée au développement. Alors s'il y a d'autres formes de développement, alors donc moi c'est la proposition. Aujourd'hui, si à la sortie de la réunion, si tout le monde peut se donner, c'est-à-dire les différentes plateformes, ce n'est pas des associations, mais des réseaux qui puissent être ensemble pour pouvoir faire un réseau mondial sur la migration. Je vous remercie.
So I think we have to reflect further on this and see what we can do. From our side, we try to have continuity on the global forum, so to have this kind of side event, but I think you're asking more. Going to a more network orientation of national platforms, we keep that. There's also 3 questions. One was related to the national compact and standards. Is it a step back if you go on a national, if you start discussing on a national level? One question was how to integrate trade unions, right? And the other was policy coherence. And so I don't expect us to give the answers on that, but I would like to go to the closer, even so now we have these 5 minutes, and hand over to François Crépeau, who is phasing out You don't want to respond to that? No, so I ask Pascal then. He knows the answer, okay. He wants to give an answer, okay.
Have ideas.
No, but two things on this question of what if the global compact does not match our expectations, and then this idea of a national compact on migration and development as a modality for civil society involvement. I think those two things do not contradict one another. I think, first of all, this idea we bring of a national compact is a way to now formulate a clear recommendation to include the civil society in the implementation of the Global Compact. That's why we bring the discussion now, and that's why we bring the discussion on the modality that could serve the implementation of the Global Compact. In the way we thought of a national compact, I think the way we reflected about it is that, yes, there is a global compact process. Yes, we thought about how will it be implemented at national level. And then we came to the conclusion that, wait a minute, do we have a framework to discuss, to put all the actors that matter around the table on policy coherence on migration development? Do we have these kind of frameworks currently? So that's how we came to this idea. So we want to promote it primarily also as a way to bring the actors that matter on migration development at national level. So it can also be detached to the final substance of the Global Compact. I referred previously to the SDGs, to the migration-related targets of the SDGs, so there is actually already an agenda. And the question of making it or contextualizing this agenda is still pending. It's already there, actually. So the question is how do we proceed on this agenda? How do we discuss on progress? How do we discuss on innovative policies to implement, for instance, target 10.7? And how do we monitor progress on that? So this idea of a framework for discussion, multi-stakeholder frameworks, I think is valid also in this broader context.
One idea you said, what if the Global Compact does not reflect even minimum standards? My estimation, and I think it's shared by many of you, is that the Global Compact will not reflect even minimum standards that migrants need. Okay, that's for starter. You know, it's going to be a stepping stone. It's going to be a first step that states will agree to, and it will be much lower than what we would, like to have. So we have to lower our expectations. I think the idea of the national platform is the idea that whatever minimum the states agree to, let's get this at least implemented, one, and two, let's use this tool to evaluate what's missing and to evaluate what the next steps are going to be. And let's create this dialogue with governments through this national compact process, because the idea of the national compact is not simply that there is a result. It's the process of consultation, of thematic consultation, maybe, sub-national regional consultations, depending on the country and depending on the different parts of the country, different levels of economic development, etc. There is a process to the Global Compact that brings results. And I think that is very valuable, and that can be replicated. And that will bring reflections on why is this Global Compact insufficient, and what do we need to do for the next, level of negotiation? What do we need to change? What do we need to add?
Thank you very much, François. I think we're allowed to have a final statement from the panelists. Yeah.
Oui, c'est très vite, parce que quand on parle de migration, parfois, on oublie que c'est une question sociale et transversale. Aujourd'hui, il y a tout un débat pour l'Afrique, surtout, et pour l'Asie, et aussi pour d'autres régions, c'est la question des migrants climatiques. On sait très bien qu'il y a la COP. Qu'il y a la COP 22 avec tous les débats maintenant avec les États-Unis. Au Maroc, on a encore une plateforme qui s'appelle la Coalition marocaine de la justice climatique et qui intègre plusieurs dynamiques, la dynamique femmes, dynamique jeunes et autres, et la thématique de migration, elle est inscrite dans toutes les dynamiques. Ça veut dire que nous, en tant que plateforme, on est dans la coalition climatique, mais on parle donc de la migration. Donc, les plateformes, il y a plusieurs plateformes nationales. J'ai parlé un peu du Forum social mondial et autres, où on est prêt, on est présent, mais il y a des interlocuteurs précis qui parlent de la question. Donc, n'oublions pas de se focaliser. Pourquoi je dis ça? Parce que d'abord, le Maroc, c'est un pays non seulement d'immigrés, mais aussi c'est un pays de transit. Aujourd'hui, il est devenu un pays d'accueil. Donc, on a ce problème de travailler, on a la facilité de travailler quand nous avons des immigrés. Mais quand on est un pays d'accueil, on a encore ce problème-là. Et donc, on est en train de... C'est pour ça que j'ai invité la Suisse de travailler avec eux, parce qu'on veut voir et on veut capitaliser les expériences ici ailleurs qui font la question de l'Union. Et c'est pour ça qu'au niveau africain, on est en train d'initier, on sait très bien que malheureusement, au niveau gouvernemental et officiel, on n'a pas d'informations sur les processus. Mais on a eu l'information, et c'est au GFMD, que le mois d'août, 26-27, à Addis Abeba au niveau africain, il y aura une discussion de Global Compact. Et du coup, on est en train de faire pression pour avoir une réunion quelque part. Peut-être que ça sera au Maroc, puisque le Maroc il va accueillir le Global Forum Migration et Développement le 5 décembre 2018 plutôt. Je m'excuse. Et on est en train de voir comment réunir, au moins, il y a une structure qui existe déjà, parce qu'on travaille parfois comme des sapeurs-pompiers, pour essayer de travailler, pour pousser un petit peu et avoir une voix de la société civile. Parce que c'est bien d'avoir la question des mécas, elle est très intéressante, c'est bien d'avoir des plateformes nationales, mais il faut avoir des plateformes nationales, plusieurs thématiques pour une convergence, pour que ce soit toujours quelqu'un qui prend le relais pour défendre l'autre, ou l'appeler à parler, comme la question climatique, parce que même au niveau de la COP 22 que le Maroc a accueilli, on a créé la COP Africa. La COP Africa, on a poussé l'État marocain de s'engager dans sa politique africaine, à organiser la société civile africaine en parallèle avec le congrès qu'il y a eu de représentants des États africains pour que cette COP soit défend, y compris la question non seulement climatique, mais y compris la question de la migration. Et du coup, vous voyez un peu comment on peut fonctionner. Ces bonnes pratiques, il faut les collecter, il faut échanger plus. Malheureusement, le temps, on ne l'a pas assez. Et je termine avec ça, c'est qu'il faut avoir des plateformes nationales, mais thématiques. Et travailler sur la question de la transversalité, l'échange et surtout la convergence. Merci.
Merci. Moi, je voudrais simplement prendre la parole pour 1 minute, parce que je considère que les interventions sont plutôt des contributions. Peut-être dire simplement à notre ami du Bangladesh que si les syndicats ont perdu du terrain, c'est parce que quelque part aussi, ils n'ont pas pris le soin d'aller vers un regroupement fort avec les autres organisations de la société civile. Je crois que donc, la solution voudrait que, comme on l'a dit, que ces plateformes intègrent l'ensemble des acteurs. Et ça donnera plus de force à ces syndicats pour pouvoir donc se positionner et particulièrement réclamer, en tout cas, surtout la question de la migration de travail. Certaines revendications ne peuvent se faire que dans le cadre d'une coalition et d'une plateforme assez forte. Oui, Ousmane, vous avez raison. Hein, je crois que je l'ai dit même avant ton arrivée. Hein, je crois qu'il faut aller vers la mise en place quand même de plateformes régionales très fortes qui convergent vers une plateforme internationale qui pourrait être en tout cas interlocuteur, en tout cas des Nations Unies. Maintenant, peut-être que je l'ai oublié, et je crois qu'il faut le dire, Emeka a parfaitement raison quand il disait qu'aujourd'hui, il nous faut parler avec le gouvernement, mais pas au gouvernement. Je crois que donc ça montre en tout cas que nous devons avoir une attitude assez responsable, suffisamment en tout cas responsable, pour que les gouvernements au niveau de nos pays puissent nous prendre comme des interlocuteurs valables, des acteurs valables dans la mise en œuvre du compact. Enfin, je crois que je voulais aussi le mentionner dans mon intervention, je l'ai oublié. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, après la mise en place vraiment de plateformes régionales très fortes, il nous faut maintenant essayer de voir comment mettre en place des observatoires qui puissent en tout cas suivre le processus, en tout cas la matérialisation des décisions qui sont prises et sur la mise en œuvre des engagements pris. Je crois que ça aussi, ce serait quelque chose qui me paraît assez important. Voilà, Monsieur le Président, ce que je voulais dire. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. He also wants to. Yeah. Or you would like to speak first? You speak first? No. Okay.
Okay. Well, I have like 2 or 3 points. I think that I am going to start just with the last comments. That is like this kind of low expectation about the global forum, the global compact on migration, and I think that we have to measure the impact. We have to measure all the progress that we are doing at the global compact on migration. But I think that, as someone said, like we have a lot of work to do at national level with the platforms. There are a lot of needs. We have to strengthen the capabilities of the networks. We have to have more activities between the networks and the platforms, and it has a lot of responsibility, the donors and the cooperation that make some damage to the organizations and to the platforms. I think that we have to talk to the governments, yes, but it's difficult for some countries. We have, in one hand, we have to make alliance with key actors and to monitoring the global compact, but in the other hand, we have to continue making the advocacy to stop the human rights violation, to stop all the violence that we are living at our countries. So it's like very difficult to make a balance and to start the alliances, but to continue the work that we are doing at advocacy. And even in these discussions, we have to include the most affected of the push factors of forced migration. And this is our responsibility as civil society, but also to talk with the governments and to evaluate who is more important to be in these spaces, right? If it's our presence here is important, but also the presence of the most affected of the push factors of forced migration. We have to make alliances at national level, but not only in migration organizations. We have to make alliances with access to land movements, with women movements, and because this is not about migration. This is some structural factors that are pushing the people to take out of their countries. And also at the regional level, I think that we have good examples of what to do and what not to do at regional level, but we have to take this space as a tool to follow up, and we already make some alliances here. We are knowing each other, and I think that is a good space to continue after the global forum, after the global compact process. We have to continue, and I agree that we have to make and to have some platforms, some mechanism, civil society organizations to know what is happening in Africa, what is happening in Asia, what is happening in Latin America, because there are some countries and some regions that are not visible in these spaces. And we have to make a statement to the civil society to sensibilize on what is happening in our countries. So I think that it's a good idea that you proposed that you have a mechanism to know what is happening in other countries. And at the global level, I think that the global compact is a good tool to push the governments to open the spaces, to open the dialogue, the exchanges spaces, to talk about what we want to talk about in each country. We want to talk about minors. We want to talk about all the large-scale projects. So I think that this national compact should be a good tool, a good tool to make our concerns as civil society organization make visible in these spaces. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Ellen McCrary, you have the last final 25 minutes to have a closing statement.
I have 3 sentences. So if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. It's very easy to get derailed. My PhD supervisors will confirm. But I think it's just very important that this national compact, this idea, which is not fully formed, like the global compact, it can and it should be more ambitious. And civil society has a really important role to play. And I look forward to hearing and seeing how you define progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think it's time now we have closing this session. So we opt for we'd like to opt for a national compact. Please support us in these ideas. Carry it further. I'd like to thank Diaspora TV Switzerland for filming this event. You will get it in full length on our website, on the mdplatform CH website, for you to further disseminate. I think it's on a YouTube channel, which you can then disseminate and watch. Thank you very much for your rich participation and comments.
My key takeaway is that people are fairly cognizant of the limitations of the Global Compact as a process to actually improve migrant workers' rights. However, they're trying to develop alternative mechanisms like the National Global Compact as a means to localize rights with communities and at the ground level, which sounds like a great idea, and I hope it can be implemented.
Merci pour la parole que vous m'accordez. Je viens de suivre avec beaucoup d'attention et d'intérêt cette session. Ce que j'ai retenu comme message principal, c'est que différentes organisations de la société civile ont été rassemblées aujourd'hui à Berlin, reçues par le gouvernement allemand, dans le cadre du Forum mondial pour la migration et le développement. Il a été développé des questions très essentielles pour ce qui est de l'impact de la migration sur le développement, surtout des pays d'origine des migrants. Plusieurs propositions et recommandations ont été formulées par les participants. Il s'agit donc notamment de constituer des plateformes régionales qui pourraient être renforcées par des plateformes internationales pour pouvoir améliorer la condition de l'efficacité du travail apporté par les migrants dans le cadre de développement de leur pays d'origine. J'en suis fier et je remercie les organisateurs d'ailleurs qui pourront prochainement nous convoquer à d'autres sessions.
Je crois que pour la session d'aujourd'hui, ce que j'ai retenu et ce que j'ai aimé, c'est que ça ouvre des perspectives de collaboration et de mise en commun au niveau des plateformes au pays, aussi bien au nord que dans les pays du sud. Et si je compare ça donc à ce que nous sommes en train de faire au Sénégal et en Afrique, la discussion d'aujourd'hui donc pourrait éventuellement permettre de voir comment collaborer avec des plateformes en Asie, au Bangladesh, dans le Moyen-Orient, dans l'Europe. Et je soutiens très activement la proposition qui était faite de dire voyons comment est-ce que nous pouvons mettre nos plateformes ensemble pour disposer et avoir au niveau mondial un espace commun de plaidoyer, de mobilisation et d'action.
On these discussions about the Global Compact on migration, at the end of the day, the national that really is quite important as well. This has value because then you make the arguments very compelling, but you have to go back to, when we go back to our respective countries, then we have to make sure that we engage with the stakeholders at the national level, definitely.
It was a very nice conference. I think the best thing I can take it from here is the coordination thing among the members of the national platform of civil society. We have to unite it, we have to be coordinated, and we should have a common, we already have a common platform, but we should have a common voice regarding the Global Compact on migration. We should have very clear position, what we want for the migrants, for the refugees. We should know clearly what our government wants, and then we can only negotiate with them. And one of the strategies could be to give government the impression that, look, we are not your counterpart. We'd like to be your associates. We'd like to help you in developing the Global Compact on migration. That's what, in fact, we did from BCSCC, Bangladesh Civil Society Coordination Committee on Migration, Development and Human Rights. We met the government representatives in our country. We told them, look, we'd like to assist you in the GFMD. So they informed us what they are thinking about the Global Compact, and also we shared our impressions with them. So that's why we coordinated and shared each other's positions. Thank you.